Hey guys, so I haven't made my video in about 2 weeks now, and I'm sorry for that. Not only am I letting myself down in my word to what I said I was going to do, but the people that are listening, y'all, uh, I'm hindering more people from hearing the word, and I don't think that's right, and I don't agree with that, and I'm sorry. I just wanted to apologize for that. Prayers are encouraged always. I'll always need prayer. People praying for me. And if you want me to pray for you, then you could leave a comment down on the bottom or send me a text, and then I'll pray for you. But it's finally here. So Saul and David, this whole debacle that's been going on, we're finally getting to see some closure on a certain part of it. So Saul has been chasing David basically his whole life, up until he was like a teenager. He started chasing him to now. Yeah, I don't know exactly how old he is, but I'm sure I could figure it out. Look at all the chronological events and stuff like that. But we're about to see what's happening. So we left off. David got sent away from the Philistines to go back to his homeland. His homeland had been ruined by the Amalekites, so he was chasing them. So that leaves us here with Saul. And Saul's about to have to take on the Philistine army. So what's really important, and it's really cool, that if you look into it, that Saul's fight and David's fight with the Amalekites taking his land back, this was happening at the same time. So you have the fall of one king and the rise of another king. And none of this wouldn't have happened if Saul wouldn't have done the decisions that he would have chosen, and David wouldn't have chose the decisions that he chose. None of this would have happened. So it's all in perfect order. It's all happening, perfectly. It's all in God's hand. And it's really cool to get to see that. So we'll start off. So now the Philistines fought against Israel. So they're fighting, and they're, I'm sure they're going at it. So the men of Israel, they fled from before the Philistines and fell slain on Mount Gilboa. So the Philistines are starting to take over. They're starting to crush the Israelites. So the Israelites, they're fighting. They just clashed, and so now all Israel is falling back, and the Philistines are chasing them. So the Philistines followed hard after Saul and his sons. The Philistines, they killed Jonathan, Abinab, and Malchishua, Saul's sons. So Saul got to see all of his sons killed right before him. So the battle became fierce against Saul. So Saul's fallen back, and he's back probably in one of the closer to the back ranks, and he's fighting. And it's just him and his armor bearer there. And so Saul's fighting valiantly, fiercely, destroying these Philistines, cutting them up. And then all of a sudden an archer probably peeks up over a rock, puts a few arrows in him, so boom, Saul gets hit by these arrows, and he's severely injured. And he sees that everybody's dying and all this has happened and the Philistines are coming. So Saul looks at his armor bearer and he's like, get your sword and thrust it through me, lest these Philistines, they come and, defile my body and who knows what else, torture him, all this stuff. So Saul gets his armor bearer and he's like, look, please kill me, stab me. And his armor bearer is looking at him like, oh my goodness, I can't do this. And an armor bearer, back in that time, it's where a king, important person, a captain or anything like that, they are appointed a person, an armor bearer. And this kid, he's usually a teenager, he follows them in battle, follows them everywhere. And he always has swords, an extra sword, water, a spear, bow. He probably has just everything the king would need, and he's holding it. He's there, and he's with him. He's also there to protect the king's back. Don't let anybody come up and flank. You have to be his other eyes. So basically, as an armor bearer, you're just a shield for the king. So he tells his armor bearer, kill me. Armor bearer says, no, I can't. So says, therefore, Saul took a sword and fell on it. When his armor bearer saw that Saul was dead, he also fell on his sword and died with him. So boom, the tragic death of Saul. He killed himself. He fell on his own sword. So Saul his 3 sons, his armor bearer, and all his men, they died together that same day. Now when the men of Israel who were on the other side of the valley, and those who were on the side of the Jordan, saw that the men of Israel had fled, and they saw that Saul and his sons were dead, they forsook the cities and fled. So all Israel, seeing what has happened and seeing everything that's coming out in front of them, they leave. They're scared. They no longer have a king. They no longer have a protector. They no longer have an army. So they're just chilling in the cities, just sitting there, and they're scared. So they run. They just straight up leave the city, take everything and go. And the Philistines, they come in. They dwell in the land. So apparently the Philistines didn't see Saul fall the day that he died. And it says Philistines were scouring the battlefield, and they found Saul, and they found his body, and they found his sons. So they stripped his armor off. They cut Saul's head off as a, I guess you could say, humiliating. I mean, he's already dead, but like to humiliate him even more. They cut his head off, and his body is stripped, and so they tie him to this wall, Ben Shar. Pretty sure that's what it was called. Ben Shan. They tied him and his sons to this wall, Ben Shan, and the Philistines. The Philistines, they took Saul's armor and they brought it back to their temple. And they worship idols, the Philistines do. And so they're taking this great man of God's armor and they're putting it in their temple to either worship or be like, look what our gods did. Look what we can do. And so the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead, they heard what the Philistines had done to Saul. So all the valiant men of Jabesh, they arose and they traveled all night. They took the body of Saul and the bodies of his sons from the wall of Ben-Shan. They came to Jabesh, they burned them there. Then they took their bones and buried them under the tamarisk tree at Jabesh and fasted 7 days. Wow. All this led up and all this great chasing and great battles to end like this. You know, I think a lot of it goes back to the very first lesson, facing your giants. And if Saul would have just faced his giant, you know, greed, I guess you could say, or greed. He just wanted what David wanted. He just wanted people to love him, and he had the wrong heart. And if he would have just fixed that one giant, stood up to that one giant right there, and been like, "Look, David, this is how I feel. I don't want to feel like this. What can we do to progress our relationship, to progress love, and to retreat hate?" And so I believe it was all lined out, and it was all supposed to happen how it did, but it could have happened a different way, and it could have gone a different route. But David may not have been king. David may have not have done whatever he's done, and we don't know exactly from reading and from the lessons yet whether David's going to be king. But from what's happened to what's happening now, we can kind of guess that David's going to be king. But we'll find out later on, you know, what's going to happen. The only thing I want to say about this is, when you read this history, you have to understand that you have to learn from it. You can't just read the history and go off of it. Look and see what Saul did. Look and see what David did. And try to adjust your life. Kill your giants. Take them down when they need to be taken down. Get relationships when you need to have relationships. Form bonds with fellow Christians to grow. And never give up hope, because God's hand's always working and He's always doing something. You'll be surprised at what you can do through God. Thank y'all.